it's probably the worst lightning shot that I've ever seen. But the thing is, I kind of love it. Hello there, and today we are starting off in the studio because I have a guest for my podcast, and it's someone that has not been seen on YouTube for a little while. Paul G. Johnson.
Hello.
How's it going?
You all right? Yeah, great. Nice to see you all again.
Are we going to see you again soon?
You might do.
So we have a good day planned. We're going to film and record a podcast. Then we're going to go and get some breakfast, I think, and then we're going to head up into Yorkshire to do some landscape photography. There's a beautiful woodland up there that I want to show Paul. I think it will be a good day, and I hope you will come along with us. Let's go. Right, that's the podcast done, but let's hit the road and get out into the landscape and trying out this new top today. Do you know when you find a brand that just fits you with clothing? I found that with Montaigne gear over the years. Not sponsored by them whatsoever, just love their stuff. Did you forget something, mate?
Yeah, I forgot my tripod. Typical. I don't mind not shooting without a tripod. I don't mind shooting handheld, but today I think it's needed.
The light's looking pretty good, isn't it, really,
Yeah,
on the way down?
As you say, we could well see some dramatic light today.
You feeling fit?
I am.
A bit of a trek, but
Yeah.
we've coordinated pretty well here as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The
You
new
look a lot
top.
better than I do, though, Adam.
It's the first day today that's felt distinctly autumnal, hence the woolly hat. It was cold the other morning in the Lake District as well, but today temperatures got right down. Hopefully that will also mean, though, a little bit of autumn colour to spice up this shoot. There certainly looked like there was a little bit on the way up. I know for a fact the trees down here are fantastic, but I'm pretty excited to see what we can see. Woodland photography is something I have never really done in great detail. I like looking at it, and I grew up in the woods basically. Just shooting them was never something that came really naturally to me, and it still does not. However, I do enjoy it, and Paul has been shooting quite a lot of woodland recently. He's just setting up his tripod down here now, and I want to go and find out, or try and capture a couple of his thoughts on it, particularly what he looks for and his approach. What's your approach then when you start to shoot a tree? Like, what are you looking for?
To be honest, we're shooting a specific tree at the moment, and that's not what I will primarily look for, just to shoot a tree. I'm really looking for interest around the tree, but the most important thing is the textures and the colours as we go through the scene, and the light as we go through the scene as well. Because you hear that terminology, don't you? Order out of chaos. And it's one of those terms that I don't quite like, really, because it's impossible to make order out of chaos in woodland. So the only way that I can do it personally is by using the light to draw me through the image rather than the subjects to draw me through the image, if that makes sense. Does the light take you from the foreground to the background? So I mean, if we look at where we're at the moment,
you're kind of using the light to create depth.
To create depth,
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you've got fog and stuff like that, then you can do it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And the only difficulty that you've got in conditions like this, and you maybe have to wait for a while, unless you're using a polarizer, is things that are too highlighted.
So you've moved around?
I've moved around, yeah, because the tree was the main element of the shot, and as I said to you, I'm not that keen on that. So what I'm using the tree here, which is on the left-hand side of the shot. And then if you can see this branch that's coming out to the left,
yeah,
I've also captured 90% of that until it comes round.
Right.
But what basically the tree is doing is it's framing down here. Now the thing is if you come here and look over there, you might think, well, what are you shooting at? There's nothing particularly interesting in this region other than the saplings, if you want to call them saplings. Can you see how they just go like a little tunnel? And then there's an area of light in the tunnel itself. So basically the shape of this tree, the shape of those trees, and the light is leading me through the shot. that's interesting because I was shooting in landscape and I've copied you now and flicked it to portrait, but I really like the way that you've composed that. It works really, really well. As I say, are you thinking of putting a grad on?
Yeah, because you were talking about cropping, weren't you?
I'd be tempted.
Get the sky out,
I'd be tempted to put it there. But
I'm thinking I'm gonna...
if you put a grad on, you can always crop it post.
Paul says I've done well with this tree, so let me talk you through it. So we were walking past and I'm starting to get a feel of what he likes. And it's these kind of shots that have some depth in it and the different light. And that's pretty much what I've got here behind me with this tree here. There's a silver birch there, which is actually really nice to look at.
Come on,
but I don't particularly want it in the shot. Dogs either. Where's that gone? There it is, look. That silver birch is not appealing to me, so I'm going for this one, which no idea what kind of tree it is, but it's got some autumnal coated leaves on it. And in portrait, getting that depth that I like from Paul, while we get a random dog with us, getting that depth through the tree to that light in the background, that looks really nice. And then I've got some of these ferns or bracken, half of them have turned brown, and it's just creating that really nice autumnal feel. It's now overcast, so the light's really soft. So I've composed the shot with the tree over to the right-hand side of the frame, and from where we're stood here, I don't know if it's because of the clearing behind, all the branches are pushing towards that clearing, probably to pick up the light over the years. So all the branches seem to be pushing that way, so that I've got the trunk down the right-hand side of the frame with the branches moving across to the left-hand side of the frame. Then we've got that depth, then we've got that light, and that's what's working for me. The sky is still a bit bright though, and I don't particularly want to bracket it, because Paul was saying before he tries not to bracket his woodland. So I do have, with this Polar Pro grad, I'm gonna slot that in. It's starting to rain. Let's get this done. I don't know how to use the grads. No, goodness me. Like a complete rookie. This is why I don't use grads. Right, that was embarrassing. Do you know what else I think I need that I have refused to use previously for various good reasons is an L bracket. And there we go, get the composition correct again. Bring that down a bit more. There we go. Shoot it before anything gets wet and gets spots on it. Ooh, let's have a look. I mean, the light looks great. Not sure about the sky still, but overall, I think it's really nice. It's got that depth there with that light behind it. And then there is also the hill behind it. So there is some sort of darker spot behind the tree. And then the tree is some distance from that background. So there's a nice bit of depth and separation in there. With a bit of post-processing, I think it's going to work really, really well. What do you reckon, Paul?
I think so.
Have you got
something out of that?
Have you got something?
Yeah. Sorry?
Have you got something?
I'm just going to take yours. Copy yours and pretend it's mine.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Out of the woods now, and Paul and I were chatting, and earlier on today I showed him a picture that appeared on last week's vlog, the sunset on the top of the mountain. And one of the things I said is that I feel that image is unique, and last time I was here I shot an image that I also thought was unique due to the weather conditions and the stunning clouds that I had that day. But unbelievably, the clouds that we've got here right now are almost identical to what I had last time. And I would have said that was a once in a lifetime thing, but it clearly isn't. But it's still definitely very rare because I come here a fair bit, and yeah, I mean, it's just a coincidence, I think, but it's kind of blowing my mind a little bit. The image that I took last time was definitely better, so I'm not going to shoot now because the cloud there is a little bit bigger and blocking out the light. The sun's also in a different position because it's later in the year and I don't have light on the land like I did that day, but absolutely blowing my mind. So I cut that time lapse short because things are developing quite nicely. I mean, the cloud is stunning. We've got rain in the distance. I've got a bit of red sky on the horizon. Over there is looking good. There's good reflections in the lake, and it's just a fantastic moment. However, one of the things I've been saying about on a couple of recent workshops is that given something that catches your eye, like the light or the scene or whatever it may be, it doesn't always mean that you can craft it into a composition, essentially. And at the moment, I'm struggling to bring all these elements together. Now, a lot of the time you can do that with perspective. So say, for example, if you like the distant hill and the lake, we have some freedom to move a little bit this way and a little bit this way, and they will look pretty much the same because they're quite far away. However, the camera, for example, if that was your foreground element, just the tiniest shift moves that within the frame. So you can see something in the distance that you like and then walk around a fair amount of space in front of you and change your perspective to select a foreground element. And that's just the relationship between the foreground and the midground and the background that you can use to formulate your composition. But at the moment, nothing's in the right place, and I can't move because of the cliff edge enough to bring it all together. So I want the drama of the clouds up here. I want the red sky in the distance, and I want the lake, and I want the crag over there, and I want the hill. And it's really not quite possible because this tree here, I don't particularly want in the frame, and the cloud at the moment is above that. It's kind of moving. It started off moving left, but now it seems to have moved back right again. So it just, at the moment, is frustrating because I'm just not having any luck in bringing all these elements together. And it's not even about luck, I just don't think it's possible. The luck will come if the cloud keeps moving and releases some light onto the land particularly, which would change this whole scene. Even though it's dramatic at the moment, light on the land would just elevate it even further. We do have something going for us though, in the fact that the horizon is clear at the moment. Sun's going to set somewhere over there. If we get it through that little gap there, some special things could happen. Sometimes you've got to be patient, but you've got that kind of fire, that you want the image so badly and you know it's there, but it's just a case of trying to make it all work, basically. And either your skill runs out or your luck runs out, or it's just not there at all. And it's important to accept that sometimes, but I don't like accepting it. I've now set up for a shot, and I'm on this fairly dodgy precipice. I don't know if you just saw that, but there was some lightning then, and it's been a very interesting development because we moved round to this spot. I've shot from here a couple of times before, and the lightning has started up over in the distance. So I've composed a shot. It's quite an interesting technical exercise. I've composed a shot with the cliff on the left-hand side. I've then got the lake down there, and I'm loving that little bit of orange glow where I'm hoping the sun will appear in a minute. It may be that it's going to hit to the right of that, if you can see on the little AR app I've got here. It's still, the whole atmosphere is very interesting. Although there isn't any light on the land, it's still an interesting soft light. And with that there, the red light or the orangey light in the distance, that storm, the drama and the mood is making it an interesting image as it is. But capturing lightning is very difficult, and especially because it's very sporadic at the moment. There's not much of it. I think we've had maybe one or two strikes, one clap of... Can you hear that? One clap of thunder rumbling in the distance right now. So the way I'm hoping to capture this, it's a little bit of a workaround, and I think I may have done, just as I started filming then, I am using a long exposure because the longer the camera can expose, the more likely it is that the lightning will show up. And the theory being that although I've exposed correctly, the exposure time is 6 seconds, So that's exposing correctly for the foreground. There we are again. The lightning should be a little bit brighter, so should push through, and I definitely captured it that time. It's cutting across the sky in the distance. I'm actually going to stop the camera because I definitely caught it then. Let me just finish this one and I'll see if I've got these settings right. Let's have a look. Let's turn that off. I was doing a time lapse with 1 second in between the shots. So apart from that 1 second, it's exposing the whole time, which has allowed me to capture that lightning. I definitely caught it then. Let's have a look. The exposure is too long and the lightning wasn't bright enough to capture it. So what I'm going to do is bring that exposure time down. Let's get the live view up. And I want to make my exposure quicker, boost the ISO to make the most of that brightness. Get that exposure time down a little bit more. ISO up to now 640, so F11, 2 second exposure, ISO 640, and then I'm going to use the same principle. So turn off live view, menu, interval timer, enable, 1 second in between. So there's going to be, I've got a 2 out of 3 chance of capturing the lightning if it happens again now, because it's exposing for 2 seconds, waiting for 1 second, and then exposing again. So with that shorter exposure time now, and the higher ISO, I've got a better chance of the lightning showing up. It would have worked how I had it if the lightning was brighter, but it's very distant and it's right in the middle of the rain, which we can see in the distance. So it wasn't that bright. So I've had to up that ISO to get that brightness up and reduce the exposure time. So we'll have to see. I'll be lucky to capture it, but it's quite distant in the scene as well. So how much it's going to enhance the image, I don't really know. Problem is in this spot is that I captured one of my favorite images that I've captured in the last few years, in fact. And it was a really interesting edit as well. And it was taken exactly from this spot, shooting out that way in some very dramatic conditions when I filmed the Fujifilm X-T4 review. But I took the image with this camera, so it never appeared in that video, and I didn't talk about it on camera. But I will show you that at the end, along with anything that I manage to capture here. But before we go, I just want to catch up with Paul, because this is really exciting. He's getting pretty close to the edge as well. Don't think he knows what's behind him. You're in a nice little dodgy spot there, mate.
I know, but as long as I sit here, I'm with a shuffle bum backwards.
That's exciting,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
I'm doing a long exposure to try and capture the lightning as well, but
Beautiful, isn't it?
I'm not sure if it's worked. I definitely caught it, but it's not that bright. But it's been quality having you on with me today, mate.
Oh, that's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm good company, mate, aren't I?
Yeah, we had that little chat earlier, so
I didn't mean it like that. I said it was nice to be out. I meant it was nice to be out with you, Adam. But it
I
came out wrong.
know what you meant. Okay, so I'm back in the studio and I wanted to talk about that lightning shot for a minute because I've just finished printing it out. And it's probably the worst lightning shot that I've ever seen. But the thing is, I kind of love it. And the reason for that is because I actually think it's a pretty nice landscape photograph. It's not got the light on the land, but it's still nice, warmish light. It's got those dramatic storm clouds. And what I love to do with a printed piece of work like this is firstly appreciate it from a distance, but then to get in close, to study the work that the photographer has produced, to get in close, to see the detail. And now with this image, when you do that, you are rewarded with seeing that little speck of lightning over on the horizon there, and I kind of love it. It's kind of exciting, and it now serves as a reminder of what was a great day and a great shoot. I like the bit of red sky in there as well. And overall, I just love it. If you haven't done so yet, please do check out the Raw Room as well. That's my online photographic learning platform where I have put my masterclasses and things like that. And you can sign up for a 7-day free trial now, and then after that it's $5.99, which gives you loads and loads of great content and new stuff coming as often as possible, and you will be supporting me. And I've got something very exciting that I begin production on next week, which could potentially change the face of the Raw Room. So please do check it out, and I will see you on another video very, very soon. I'm Adam. This is First Man Photography. Out. Good fun.